guys, what is up? Welcome back. Now, I'm doing something a little different today. I know I missed last week Friday as well as this Friday, but instead of doing a double reaction, I'm going to do a double review, okay? And if you're new to the channel, you might be wondering, what is that? It's basically a review, but I'm gonna encompass it of 2 episodes, okay? If you've been on this channel long enough, I have done it more frequently in the past than I have done in current times. So right now I'm going to be doing double review for Undead Unluck episodes 14 and 15, okay? First things first, they changed the opening and the ending on episode 15, something I've never seen any studio or any anime series ever done. Usually when it's like a 2-core, or in this case in scenario 24-25 episode series, the opening and ending always changes around episode 12 or 13 depending on how much episodes. If it's 24, then it's episode 12. If it's 25, then it's episode 13. So to see a change with only about 10 more episodes to go is different. And personally for me, I'm sorry, but the first opening and first ending totally hit. I didn't know how opening 2 is able to compete when you had Killer Queen for the first opening, okay? Visually it looks okay, but opening 1 and opening and ending 1, song wise and even visually wise, except for ending 2 looks visually the same as ending 1, but overall it has to be the first half of the season versus the second half. But there is some points that I want to make in particular about what we see from the ending of ending 1 and ending 2. Okay, and then it ties into the beginning of episode 15 as well as close to the end of episode 15 as well. So before that, as you know, you have this group of Negators who's going around the world, okay? And they're trying to recruit people just like how the Union does, and their objectives up front is the same. They're trying to get Negators, but if the Negators prove to be useless or too troublesome, they will execute them, right? That's no different, but the end result for both of them is different. So for the Union, right, they want to gather as much Negators as possible to take on these quests and eventually at the end of the day prevent Ragnarok, aka the end of the world. And they want to end God. They want to kill God, right? Might I add, we got God in episode 15. Whereas this other group they want to basically ruin the world, okay? And you could probably guess their reasons as to why is that, because we see what regular people do to Negators. They don't even treat them like human. So they want to gather as many Negators to rule the world and at the same time destroy it, in a sense of a way, like make normal people kind of suffer. And they want to do so before God comes and destroys the world, okay? So again, their objectives are the same when it comes to gathering Negators, but their end results are vastly different. The Union wants to save the world and save people. The other group doesn't necessarily care. It's more so for their own reasons and their own justifications. So screw the world while they're at it. It's only for themselves. So anyway, with episode 14 coming from episode 13, obviously Fuko and Andy and Tatiana went on that ship where there was like the mafia underground world was basically having black market selling of Negators and, you know, different organizations put together. And that's where they saw Unmove, also known as Chikara, who was about to be sold on the black market until he left and they were able to save him. And obviously with the whole ship just being crushed by Tatiana, who broke down her own armor in order to save Fuko. Remember, Fuko, other than Gina, is the first person that reached their hand out other than Bill, and they became friends. So she was more so doing this for Fuko than Andy, okay? But while the fight is still happening, we have where we actually figured out Chikata's ability of unmove. Might I add, is still a very powerful ability, but because of Chikata's timidness and, you know, him being a scaredy cat, it's understandable because he's still a kid at the end of the day, and there's so much going on in the world, and he lost his parents at a pretty younger age than he is currently right now. So there's just so much going on for him, and just for the fact that he was taken from his school and was being about to be sold to be basically decoration or a pet to some sick twisted person. Yeah, there's a lot going on. He has every reason to be scared. On top of they're trying to defeat Rip because his ability, which is unrepair, if you get hit with that ability, you can die. And they were trying to save Fuko because she only had 30 minutes or an hour to go before she actually does die. So they had, in order to basically stop Unrepair's ability, is that if you kill the user, aka Rip. So while they're fighting and everything, and because they're getting hit with Unrepair's ability on top of the artifact that he's using, which is on his legs, something is telling me he actually lost his legs and he uses the artifact as substitutes, right? And they throw out blades and everything, so whatever. Talking about artifacts, they did explain in episode 15, which I'm going to get to not too shortly I'm going to get into. It's something very interesting. Keep in mind for artifacts, especially if you are an anime only like myself. So going back to the fight, he's using the artifact blades. He even called an attack Blade Runner. Is the author a fan of Blade Runner or something like that? I don't know. I'm just saying. So while they're fighting and everything, and one thing I really love about Undead Unluck, especially if they are an experienced fighter, how they're able to read each other's moves and basically break down what the Negator abilities is able to do. So instantly we have it where Rip was able to deduct how Chikata's unmovability actually works, which I am so grateful for, and he was able to evade and everything until the finale of the fight, right? So how Chikata's ability actually works is anything he sees in front of him, just like how I'm staring at you guys and you're staring at me through your screens as well, that's how his ability works, and that stops you. But there is the flaw to it. So while it is very strong, they can stop anything that Chikata can see through his peripheral vision straight forward, anything that's coming from above him, from the side of him, and definitely from the back of him can attack him. So if you think about it, if you used to put Chikata on a team, he's not on the offensive, but he's more defensive, right? So obviously Rip was able to figure that out, because when Andy shot a finger bullet at him, right, because of Chikata's vision didn't look on any part of Andy from the head, from the side of his face down, the rest of his body is able to move. So when he shot it and then Chikata closes his eyes, also that's a way to shut off his ability by him shutting his eyes and everything, the bullet was able to hit Laita but not penetrate her, right? So understanding that, they planned their next move. So they kept throwing as many blades at them as possible. It did cut Andy and everything, causing both Chikata and Fuko to drop, but luckily Titania is there, so with her untouchable ability causing that big sphere and everything, they were able to land on that. So because of that, we had where Andy needed Fuko to use her unpredictable unluck on him. So she kisses him on the cheek, and we all know that her kissing him in any form anywhere on his face will cause a meteorite because of her affinity or her likeness to Andy. So knowing that case, and also with Laita's ability, even though they never fully explained it, but I'm going to go with it that her ability, which is also unpredictable like Fuko's, and even to some extension with Chikata, is that she is unpredictable, one, and her ability is deflection. So long as she's looking at you, she can deflect your abilities. But of course, there is also a flaw. So I'm guessing just like how Chikata's ability is like she looks at you, if you throw something at her and something comes splashing up like water did from the ocean, it can still get to her. So understanding that, they go for that move, right? So with Andy and the meteorite coming down, and he pushes like at least his torso to the meteorite comes down. Okay, I think this is not going to be the last time we're going to see a meteorite in this series at all. It's just so funny. Okay, from the first episode, like literally a kiss on the cheek can cause you to die from a pile of fiery rocks falling from the sky. I would never want Fuko to come near me if that was the case. So the meteorite does miss because of Lyta's ability. But we have where before they're able to attack both Fuko and Chikara hearing from Andy, it's like, you gotta trust in us. We're here to protect you, so on and so forth. And we have your back. He mustered up the courage to use his unmovability, stopping them from reaching him and Fuko. And just before they knew it, because again, remember his ability can only stop things that's within his peripheral vision. So anything that's behind of unmove, anything that's within a certain degree angle, it can hit them. So knowing that, Andy was able to take advantage and use Crimson Bullet by mustering up all of his regenerative abilities, regeneration, as well as the calcium in his body, and used it in his finger, causing Crimson Bullet, and he was actually able to kill Rip. Okay, Rip died from a finger. Partial of a finger killed him, okay? And because of that, it caused his ability to no longer work. Okay, so Fuko is no longer dying. She's fine. Same thing with Andy, is just taking his regenerative abilities to take a little bit longer to heal, but he is also fine as well. So they did win. But unfortunately, we had where Rip and Lyta, as well as the other two, were able to escape in a whale. What is this, Hunter x Hunter? The only time I see something like this, if possible, will be in Hunter x Hunter, okay? And I think, yeah, it's actually in the latest arc of Hunter x Hunter, we do have where they are in a whale. I'm sorry if you guys, oh shoot, I hope that's not a spoiler for anybody. I'm so sorry, but regardless of that fact, they were able to escape. And we did have where Fuko was asking whether, like, what's the whole reason for them doing this? And we have where Lata is basically saying, only Rip is able to answer your questions. And like, how is Rip able to when he died? He literally died, okay? And then they disappear under the ocean, okay? So after the whole fight, obviously, we have where Chikara is just like really dumbfounded about the whole thing, because all of that rush, that adrenaline rush, is just slowly dissipating and everything. So he's just like left like, whoa, what is going on? So they do talk and everything, and they're giving him at least 1 week to think things over, keep it hidden, keep all of this that happened hidden from Jews. So they're giving him a week to just like think it over before, if he wants to join the Union or continue on with his regular life. So by the close to the ending of the episode, we do have where they go to his school, but before they really talk to him, we see Rip. But Rip is a child. So I'm guessing this is what Lyta was referring to. That's, you will have to ask him before he can really, apologize and tell them how he was able to come back to life. We have where Andy punches him because of what happened back at the cruise, with the whole injury with Fuko. Marayad, he throws an artifact, which is a handgun, to Fuko, and she gets this vision. She sees buildings burning and melting, acid rain falling on people are burning alive, and then you see this tall, dark figure standing above all the destruction that's happening. Now we're getting into episode 15, and it frightens her. And the same thing is, even Andy, when he picked up the artifact gun, he sees the same vision. Now, come to find out, whenever a Negator, I guess, touches an artifact, they get different visions. And Andy knows that in the past, he has held and used many artifacts, but he's never seen something like this. Now we have where Rip basically says that you guys are kind of crazy at the Union for deciding want to go up against God and kill it, whereas we just want to rule the world. We want to change the world for us. Okay, and I want you two to join. Of course, Andy's like, no, we're not going to do that. We're still going to go after God and we're going to destroy it. Okay. And before that, actually, in the beginning of episode 15, we have where Jules is in the room that looks like from something with Full Metal Alchemist, where the commandment tablet is there. Instead of it before in Full Metal Alchemist, it would be the doors and all of that stuff. But regardless of the fact, she says the words of, we're almost there, Victor. Now, before I can go further into episode 15, this really does tie into ending 1 and ending 2. Now, this is my hypothesis, my theory, right? Because I like to throw that out a lot in a lot of my reviews and reactions. Jules, I have a feeling Jules, either she's the same age as Andy / Victor, or, hear me out, she got reincarnated. My reasons for this is because in ending 1, that woman who had the same hair color, she seems to have the same figure, was there when Andy was in that casket canoe and he was waking up. And she was dressed in all black, right? And then in the opening 1, when it fades from Victor to Jules, oh, that's another connection, right? I believe, and ending 2 also doesn't help either, because ending 2 shows where Victor and Jules are sitting very close to each other. Like she's sitting in between his legs and they're just watching nature together. Meaning they most likely had a past with each other. They're very close with each other. And the only reason why she went after Andy is probably in hopes to get back Victor. Okay, that means Andy, and it kind of makes sense when you think about it. Andy has no recollection of many of the things that has happened over the past few hundred years. He doesn't have much recollection of his past, but Victor does. Meaning Andy was the persona that was created due to something. And only Jules is the one that actually remembers possibly all of the events. Hence why she said, we're almost there, Victor, right? So that whole canoe scene is like she was there possibly to witness the death of Victor and the rebirth, or not rebirth, but the birth of Andy. Hence why he's in white. Because when you go to funerals, no one is really dressed in white. Okay, white can signify rebirth or birth of something. Black is usually representative of death. But she's still lending a hand out to him because at the end of the day, he's Victor deep down inside. Okay, and she wants Victor, not so much Andy. But that's just my hypothesis. So it's just like, in regards to when we first saw Victor at that town that Spoil was spoiling, Uma Spoil, they didn't regard each other very friendly like or anything of that sort, but it's just like, I guess Victor is trying to remember at the same time as well as Jules, or she was just keeping up a front in front of the rest of the Union, but who knows. And she even reiterated, like, you know, Victor again at the end of episode 15. So these two had history, and I'm going to guess they were past lovers at some point. I'm going to go with that, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I feel like they were past lovers. They were past lovers. So it's either Jules is as old as Victor / Andy, or she's reincarnated. And if they cover that in the anime or not, I shall figure this out eventually. Okay, possibly in the manga, okay? But nonetheless, we had, again, going to iterate that, you know, Rip turned into a child. Something happened to him that allowed him to come back to life, but now he's in the body of a child. And he goes on like, we're not going to try to destroy God. We're not going to do that. We're going to try to rule over the world, make everybody realize our vision and everything. He disappears. Chikara was there the whole time. They're at his school, by the way, trying to pick him up. And it's the day that they're supposed to see whether he wants to join the union or not. And he sees the whole debacle of everything that's happening. And so he's trying to run away, but Andy was able to catch him. He tried to use unmove on them, but Andy was able to catch him. And they snuck into the school, trying to look like students, might I add. It was kind of sad when it came to Fuko, because as we know, Fuko was not able to go to school again since she was 10 due to her indirectly killing her parents at that airport when they went to go on that trip, right? So since then, she has not interacted with people, anyone her age, since she was 10 years old. She never went to middle school, nor did she go to high school. So for her to be in that high school, it does hurt a little bit, because you see her getting so excited, and all she knows about high school is through manga, right? So Chikara, I felt like Chikara wanted to ask Andy, but looking at Andy and you see how Andy is acting, he's very silent, very solemn about the whole thing. That tells you a lot, because he knows that like Fuko's life was ripped away from her because of her abilities. And I feel like all of these characters, unironically, all had very similar backgrounds when it comes to their abilities manifesting, because we first saw with Fuko, her abilities manifested at like 10 years old, and it killed her parents at the airport, destroying the airplane, right? Burst up in flames. I believe it was the same meteorite that fell down and destroyed, killed all 140 something people or 150 something people on the airplane, including her parents, right? She was orphaned at that. Come to find out with Chikara, he also killed his parents, right? His abilities manifested when he was in 8th grade. He was in junior high, right? And his abilities, him and his parents were coming from the grocery store, and he crossed the street first. Then when he went to go look back on them while they're crossing the street, his unmovability just happened. Everything stopped. And then when he blinked his eyes, Truck-san came and took them out. I know I'm not trying to say this is funny or anything of that sort, but the truck came and took them out when he blinked his eyes, making time move again. And he lost his parent. He lost his father immediately from the accident, and his mother only survived 1 week later. Okay, so and then we have where Titania, hers manifested when she was 5 years old. Okay, so it's just like we first had Fuko, then Titania, like 2-3 episodes ago, and now we know about Chikara. Now it makes me want to know, like, for every other negator, like, did their abilities just end up taking away people that they care about, right? What about Jews or Shen, or I don't know, heck, even Rip and Laita, did their abilities take out people that they care about? And now they have to deal with the fact that their abilities harm those that's very close to them, and the fact that they have people that's either hunting them to use their abilities, whether for a better purpose or, a purpose that goes against humanity and stuff like that, whatever the case is. But all of these characters, at least 3 of them that we know so far, has very tragic backstories. And so Chikara has been dealing since he was from middle school up until this point. He's just been dealing with this grief, and coming across Andy and Fuko and Titania, he wants to be able to use his abilities for good. He remembers the last words his mother told him, like, if there's people that you really care about, try to help them and everything. So he makes the decision that yes, he is going to join the union. Of course, he has his best friend Ryo, and as a really good friend, he's wondering, who are these 2 people? They seem like trouble. And before Ryo can just really stop everybody, Chikara uses his ability. He thanks Ryo and for everything, and he'll never forget him. Just when they go into the car to drive back to the Union, they ask Nico to use the some machine to wipe out everyone's memories of Chikara, so everyone in the school. So that's kind of heartbreaking in a way. I did cry a little bit seeing that, because it just sucks knowing that you're the only person who has memories of anything that happened in your life, and all the people that you've come across, built bonds with, have relations with, they don't think you exist anymore. Like, everything that happened, transpired with you guys, all vanished into thin air, right? And that just ends it. So the opening did spoil it, but Chikara is the 11th seat of the round table, okay? He's formally introduced, so now he's part of the Union. And again, it ends with Jews looking at the commandment tablet and again reiterating like Victor, and it just ends on there, you know. So again, with the whole Jews and Victor theory that these two knew each other, they had probably a very intimate relationship in the past, something brought back Rip to life, but now he's in the body of a child. He's years younger, and we saw God. And now it makes you wonder if they end up and oh, by the way, Andy did know that if they're able to accomplish as many quests as possible without failing, they have until April before the end of the world. But if they end up messing up both the quests, because they only have 2 more, they failed about 99 of the 101 quests, right? If they fail either one or 2 of them, then it moves from April to January. So time is ticking before the end of the world. They have to complete all quests and do not fail any of them. So at least they have until April of the next year, because they're at the end of 2020, December of 2020, right? So if they fail 2 more, January marks the end of the world. But if they're able to complete them without any consequences, without even failing one of the quests, then they have until April to prepare to meet God. Okay, so yeah. And also with the other group that's against, facing against God, they're in 2 locations making trouble, trying to recruit other people. So time is ticking for everybody. Time is ticking. So guys, do tell me in the comment section below if you saw both episodes 14 and 15 of Undead Unluck. Do tell me your theories on Jews and Victor / Andy's relationship. What do you think what was it that brought back Rip? Does any of the Negators he's with has abilities to bring back someone to life or something like that? If there's some kind of consequence, what do you think about basically the countdown to the end of the world, Ragnarok? And what do you think about God? Like, how much of a threat do you think it is? Okay, do you think the Union is going to be able to stop this? Do you think the Union and this group of Negators trying to rule the world is going to join hands at least? I would love to read your comments down below. The links are in the description box for you guys to check out. And I'm Kimmy-chan, and I will see you guys later. Bye!